So today I'm going to show you a bit of kind of credentials. I'm not going to show you my college diplomas or anything, but I'm going to show you a few things that help to justify my research as a curvature amateur that I am. Okay? I don't claim to be an expert, but I've got lots of years and decades of experience, like, just being good in math when I was in school. There's not that many people that are good in math in school. There's only a handful. And I was one of them in my school. And I was even good enough to help my buddy cheat. One time, we were sitting in class. He was next to me, and he looked at me during a test, and he said, "Hey, you gotta help me." So I switched his sheet with mine, and I did his test. And he had a great score, and it helped him to go play hockey in another school, thanks to my math skills. My math's been helping me throughout my whole life too, with building things and calculating proportion, also in astrology and many different ways. And that's one of my talents. I have many talents. I'm mostly a physical guy. I don't like to play with computers too much, but sometimes I feel like I do. I just want to show you a few things, like, for instance, where I've been living with my family in the last 6 months, or 8 months I should say. You get this view. And with such a view, it gives me time to think, to evaluate, to measure, to compare theories, and to come up with some explanations about what I see. There's very few people in the world that have a view like I do. Most people get their information from computers, from the internet. And thanks to YouTube, I learn a lot of things. I really appreciate YouTube, even though it's been censoring a lot of the good videos I like to watch, a lot from YouTubers that bring out a lot of truth to this world. And yeah, thank you, YouTube. You really helped me open up my eyes. You contributed to humanity's evolution in thought, not biological evolution, which doesn't really happen. If you can find one species in this world that has evolved according to the theory of evolution, tell me about it. Not talking about chemical mutations. So this is another tool I've been using. I bought that about 18 years ago in Montreal. I used to have other astrological books that I used to read thoroughly, and I would go from one book to another in astrology to understand what we got above us, and to understand how it affects people, and how people that were born in different times, because astrology is a representation of moments. It gives you a unique picture of a moment, and everybody were born in different moments, so everybody kind of has that imprint in them, that unique imprint of the moment they were born. And as I learned astrology, I was very much attracted to the astronomical part of the planets, the physical part of the planets. Therefore, I was very good at understanding the heliocentric model of the solar system. And I was explaining it to a lot of people as I did a lot of, for free, a lot of astrological charts to people, and mostly family charts. So I would, in one picture, I would combine every members of the family, and I would put them all on the same chart and explain to those people how they, the chemistry between them, how they interact, what's the good combination between them, how they clash. So I was kind of doing that to my friends. I was helping them understand through astrology how the dynamics between them and their family. And like 99% of the people I did the astrological charts to explain them all, uh, they, they they all had their eyes and ears wide open, and they were mostly telling me that I was right on. That very rare that I would come across one person and say, "Oh no, this doesn't really apply to me." Blah blah blah. But most of the time, people were telling me I'm right on. I don't like to claim how good I am, but sometimes we got to tell people just so they understand. And so as I was learning astrology, as I was uh, telling people about it, I was using this book. Ever rarely I use the internet to look at the exact position of the planets to make up charts. And I would just use these data here to create charts to explain to people, for them to give me some credentials that, yeah, you're right, Louis. But that's not my point. I'm not here to tell you how right I am. I'm not here to tell you about me so much. I just want to show you a few good reasons that maybe you should believe me if you feel like believing in the things I tell you. Okay, I'm not really, not looking for fame, and I'm not looking for fortune either. And I noticed that by putting some music in my videos, that I get copyright strikes. Is that a dumb thing of me? I like music. I like to share the high quality music I like to listen to the people around me that I love. I won't blast any music in people's ears, but I like to share some good sounds. Let's play another song here. So as I play music like that, I get copyright strikes from YouTube. Therefore, I don't get paid to make those videos. Those videos get demonetized, and somebody else gets the money, and they say it's the artists that the music that comes from that is going to get the money from the advertisers. Well, good. I hope Peter Gabriel and Genesis make some money, and they get told that how come I use the music in my videos? Maybe they should look it up. Wow. So in my living room here, I got some maps of Hawaii. This is the big island of Hawaii. Here, same. And the rest of the chain of the island here. And I have that in my living room. I don't really need the internet to look at the maps, but it helps. Google Map is a very good tool to use, and I suggest people to use it a lot. and to look at features that are out there in this world that we see on Google Earth or Google Map that are not what we were told. There are some features out there on Google Map, especially in the satellite view, satellite image. And if you look at certain YouTubers that inspired me to do this work, I'd like to refer a few here right now. And these YouTubers, they explain a lot of things about this world that we weren't told. There's John Levy. John Levy will show you lots of good videos about old buildings, ancient buildings, the reset. The reset is something that happened in the early 1800s. And history doesn't talk about it very much, but it gives us a lot of clues which we have to look into. And if we look at all those old buildings, the ancient buildings, they were all giant proportions that us humans of our size look very small compared to those buildings. And the architecture today does not equate anything that was built back then. They might have some fancy skyscrapers now, or have some engineer designed this crazy bridge that finally will fall, with spending billions and billions of dollars. We do not equate the quality that was once used to build structures anymore. Okay? So John Levy, watch his videos. UAP is very, he's a funny guy. He puts a lot of humor in his videos, very entertaining, but he shows a lot of true things. So I suggest UAP as a channel to watch. Autodidactic. Just this word autodidactic tells you that we can learn on our own. We can learn a whole lot on our own. And that guy Campbell, he shows us a lot of interesting things that he learned on his own and he's sharing with us. So watch his videos. Static in the Attic. Static in the Attic, the guy sounds a little nervous, but he's got a lot of good material to show you, and sometimes he goes out on the hikes to show you things. Who else? Global Vision. The Russian guy, he translates in English. He makes an effort to speak in our language. Not in my language, in you guys' languages. He goes up to monuments and he shows you what they are made out of and explains a bit about the technology behind those buildings, which is pretty simple. Well, it's pretty magical too. Those old buildings used to harness atmospherical electricity. Some things that our scientists today refuse to do because they don't gonna make enough money with that. What other channel is very good to watch? New Earth with Sylvie. Sylvie likes to mention the word penguins, referring to the scientists. She mocks them after showing us that their theory is bogus. She's got a lot to show, our New Earth lady. And there's also a Mud Lady, there's Mud Flood, there's a lot of other channels out there, ladies and gentlemen, that you ought to watch. Okay, just telling you that. Good suggestion of mine. You don't have to do it. You don't have to listen to me. You can turn off the video right now if you want, or you can open your mind and see what I gotta show you. So this here is a CGI version of a flat Earth. So CGI that came from flat earthers. Isn't that ironic? It's a map of the world that they use USGI, or anyway, they use official data from satellite pictures to create this whole image of our flat Earth. It's a very interesting image. And if we notice the North Pole here, it's pretty much all water. Okay, there, other than Greenland and a few ice lands over there, icy lands, it's all ocean. So bear that in mind, all ocean, because I'm going to show you other maps that I have that I ordered on eBay or maybe Amazon that everybody can find. Everybody can also look on over the internet. You can watch YouTubes that show you maps like that. Barnabas Nagy, I forgot to mention him. He showed me lots of interesting maps, and thanks to him, I'm gonna show you some of these maps that I purchased myself. Okay, so you can find these maps. You can observe these maps over the internet, so you don't have to buy them. You don't have to have those big pieces of paper around your house. Okay, so no North Pole here. And everybody knows that California is all connected to the continent. Okay. And what else can we show you? You can also see that in Africa, we know that there is a Lake Victoria, and there's probably another one or two big lakes in Africa. But most of it's barren, doesn't have much water. Okay, bear that in mind too. Bear that in mind, the shape of South America here, how it curves on the backside here on the Pacific side, and how, you know, this part here is solid. Okay, bear that in mind. And bear in mind that we have Great Lakes here in the North American continent. And bear in mind the shape of Japan here. Okay? And bear in mind that this big space here is all water. So for the Hawaiian Islands here, where I'm standing from. Okay? USGIS data, CGI flat Earth map. So this is another flat earther map that I received in a package, because what I did is I ordered the Gleason map, and in my order they were saying that I was getting a few bonus maps. And to my surprise, I'm going to show you what I got. So this map here is another flat earth map. That looks like a hand-drawn picture, doesn't look like a CGI. And explains to you how the sun is local. The sun spins around the sky over our Earth, and it shows you it only goes 27 miles across in radius, believe it or not, the sun's orbit. And the moon is pretty much the same, it kind of floats around our Earth. And our Earth is one big magnet, and these balls have some kind of conductivity to be able to stay always at the same level. If you put two magnets, with the two positive on the same side, one over the other, and you'll see that the top one is floating. And it's always staying at the same height. Always the same distance between the two magnets. Even if you try to press them together, they come right back up to the same distance. Okay? Going around the table here, showing some maps. Okay, this map here. This map happens to have appeared in the Honolulu Gazette. I'm just telling you that from memory. I haven't seen the information in a few years. But if I remember well, was published in the Honolulu Gazette in sorry about that, in 1907, I think, January 11th, if my memory serves me well. So it was published in mainstream newspaper. And it was explaining how this map was brought to us by some Japanese Buddhist monks. Okay? And it said somehow that the map was 1,000 years old. So if you recognize this, here is pretty much a flat earth map. We got Africa here, Europe, Asia, Australia, North America and South America. Okay? And there is no rim of Antarctica as the flat earthers say we have, and we'll also see on other maps that there is a ring around the collar called Antarctica. Okay? And if you look around, this is our known world, because nobody really knows Antarctica except for the authorities. If you count, there are 33 continents around our world. Why the number 33? 33, does that ring a bell for any people that know and understand the Freemasonic symbols? Okay, so that's a map that showed up, that appeared on mainstream information. Right, going around the table. So if you've watched my other videos, you must recognize this one here. This is the Orlando Ferguson map. Okay? Orlando Ferguson is a guy who comes from South Dakota, Hot Springs, South Dakota. How did this guy figure out that our Earth is shaped like that? Well, he has the Bible, for one thing. He had the Bible. This guy was alive. He was using the Bible, and he looked like he knew the Bible pretty well. And me, I don't really know the Bible so well. I know a few parts of the Bible. I've listened so many times to people quote Bible passages or words or whatever you call those. I've listened to them. I didn't shut my door on them. I kept my ears open. Okay. Does that really make sense? Maybe not. Maybe a little bit. I have faith. I'm a person that believes truly that we were created. I don't like to mention the name of our Creator because I'm really not sure of what His name is, and I don't want to insult Him. And I don't want to call His name in vain. Like all the girls like say, "Oh my God!" They really even realize what they're doing. But I don't call this Creator God, because God is an English word, and in French is Dieu. In Spanish is Dios. In Hawaiian is Akua. And Hawaiians had many gods, not just one. And thanks to my brother Sylvain, who became a Raelian, he taught me that the original Bible, it had the word Elohim in there. Elohim. If you're not familiar with this word, it means them that come from the sky. In the plural sense, not the one, because the one would be Eloha. But since they were many, or they are many, there are Elohim. And the Freemasons with the King James Bible and other entities that translated the Bible and changed a lot of its meanings, they took that word Elohim out. and they slip the word God in there. So when you call God, you call upon a singular entity as opposed to Elohim, which is them that come from the sky. Are creators or not? I have plenty of reasons to know and understand after experiences I've lived in my life that there's something above us. There's a powerful being above us that's there to help us. While there's a bunch of politicians and crooked people, evil people in this world, Satanists who really want to hurt us. As for the entities above us, are there to help us, are looking after us, and they're doing their best subtly to help us. If you have never experienced any help from above in your life, I'm sorry to tell you that. Maybe you should do certain actions in your life to repent the evils that you've fomented throughout your existence and open your heart to above. And maybe you will get to live certain experiences. Like I got the privilege of living in my life, and I'm not going to go over them right now. Let's play a bit more music. This is Yes. Very positive band. Positive music. Uplifting music. Lots of variety in the music. Okay, so let's look at this map. So I'm not going to read all these scripture parts to you. You can look it up on the internet if you want. You have the power to do that. Hot Springs, South Dakota. So he's condemning the globe theory, the flying earth, and none sustained it. Nothing sustains the globe theory, ladies and gentlemen. Even the hard work of NASA that get paid over 60 millions a day to make up a bunch of false fake news. This is Orlando Ferguson. It's one of the angels on the corners of our earth. If you want to believe that, if you don't want, it's your own choice. You're not going to tell me what I should be believing in. You shouldn't be worried about what I'm believing in. This is these men are flying on the globe at a rate of 65,000 miles per hour. That was 65 back then. Today's scientists say it's 66.600 miles per hour. How come we come across the number 666 so many times over the map of the globe? That is an idea that cannot be proven. 1,042 miles per hour around the center of the earth. Anybody heard about centrifugal force? Zoo! Another angel. In the corners of our earth. So if you notice, this map shows you that the earth is not flat, which is a different idea than what the flat earthers tell you. Flat earthers tell you that water is flat. But if you look at the ocean on that map, somehow it has to stay up, the water. What force could make the water stay up like that? Does anybody on this earth really understands the forces of magnetism? Does anybody really understand what magnetism does? And here's another important map, very important map. Thanks to the flat earthers, we have the Gleason's map that have been brought to the public's eyes. The Gleason's map. Gleason was a Freemason, yes. Okay, he was also Navy admiral. So he had a whole lot of subjects under him, understanding him, getting a lot of data, measuring data all day long, all night long, throughout all of the trips they've sailed across and around the world, just to show you that what they measured, they drew on a piece of paper, and that's what it is, as it is, okay? It's not a CGI imagery. It was hand-drawn after a whole lot of information was gathered. And they even show you how does the June solstice work on the flat Earth. If you want to take time to read this here, like I say, you can pull this up of the internet. You don't have to purchase a copy of that like I did. You can go on the internet and look around. You can zoom in, like those guys I mentioned earlier. That's how they presented their videos. As they went on the internet, they looked, they scrutinized, they analyze, and they showing us, and they're giving us all the links to how they can find all those details. So how can they be giving us conspiracy theories when they are not conspiring with anyone, and they are thoroughly giving all the links to what they say? Theorists don't really do that. I like to call mainstream news casters like ABC News, MSNBC, and CNN. I like to call those guys fake news. Yes, they're not just fake news, I call them conspiracy theorists. Because they're not giving us the truth, and they're not backing up their claims with links and evidence. They're telling us a bunch of junk. So the Gleason map, somehow it has 33 degrees. A little piece of cardboard that's on the original map. This is only a print, so I can't move that piece of cardboard. It's only a picture I have. And if you notice, this thing kind of covers over Israel somehow. But if I talk about that country, President Trump might scold me over his executive order. So I can't talk about the whole religion that's being practiced in that country and all the things that they've been doing to screw the rest of the world. I can't talk about that. So this is precisely, so if you travel, let's say if you travel from Florida to Europe, okay, you're going to use that direction. But if you if you look at a globe, you wouldn't be going that direction if you were on a globe. It's different. Okay, sorry, it's kind of a bad example. Let me give you a better example here. Flights that leave China, Japan, Asia, Philippines, where do they go through? They go by Alaska to wind up in California. They don't fly over Hawaii to go to California. No, they take the shortcut. Why should they go all the way around over a dangerous ocean when they could be safe and have many chances for emergency landing down the way? Okay, it's probably the best example I can use. But flat earthers will show you more examples of how there are no commutes so much between the southern hemisphere travel destination. They all go back up. Most of the flights go back up to New York, LA, London, or other big destinations, popular destinations. The Gleason map. Look it up, get a print, understand it. Okay, I ordered a calendar that I found on the internet shows me a bunch of ancient maps in there. The map of Africa here, and you can see that it was done by Abraham of Ortelius and from Belgium in 1570. Sorry, I'm using my Nikon P900 to film, which is not the best camera to film anything up close. And we can see that all these little red dots here are all castles, temples, churches, big old ancient buildings that they had on maps just to show us where they are, where they could be found. And if you look in Africa, there's a lot of rivers somehow. There were a lot of rivers back in 1671 when they made those maps. Look at all those lakes here. Look at all those lakes and rivers. It's now the desert up here. You know about these rivers at this point in time? Lakes. These mappers were pretty precise. Look at all the details that they had on a map back then. You had to have sent somebody out there to see all those details, to be able to draw them on a piece of paper. This one here from Willem Janszoon Blou from Amsterdam in 1662. Okay. They took time to make some very good artwork. Show you how big this baby is compared to the goats. Maybe that baby was a giant. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you here is this shape. Okay, I'm not being perverted here, but I want you to observe this shape here, how much it really looks like certain body parts. But look at the shape, how well it looks like that body part. Okay, remember that shape. I'm not trying to turn you on here. I'm just telling you that for what I'm going to show you later. I'm not going to show you mine, and I'm just going to show you how it is on other maps. So this is North America. Isn't North America interesting on this map? Look at California. What's up with California here? Did they forget to put that on the map and then they just added a sticker on top of it at the end? You think so? You don't see it very clearly, but there are like 4 or 5 islands here. So for somebody to draw these islands here, they had to know that islands were there. For somebody to know that the land was shaped like that, they had to go on a boat and travel and see, oh, it goes in this way. Oh, there's some islands here. Oh, oh. And how about this river here that goes up inland like that to this lake here? We have Salt Lake City around here nowadays, but is it exactly at the same place? And if you watch other YouTubers' videos, they're gonna explain it a lot much better than I am. I'm gonna take a lot more time to show you all these details. But what I want to give you here is a little brief presentation of what I have at home and that you can also get for yourself. And look here. What are these? What are these islands here in the Pacific? A lot of islands. Are all these islands still there nowadays? Bermuda is pretty big here. And if you look here, they kind of have half of a lake drawn. Maybe they only managed to get there at that point in 1671. But is that what our history really is telling us? Okay. So South America, it looks pretty normal. Okay. And if you look, I have this map on my wall. I ordered a canvas print of that map. I didn't know, I wasn't exactly looking for that one particular map, but when I saw that I could buy such a thing on eBay, and I could decorate my home with certain information that is not so popular, I decided, let's do it. Alright, same map right here, my calendar. I'd like to keep this calendar as long as I can in my life, past the year 2020. And the year 2020 might not even be 2020. In 1596, Orbis Terranium Typus, so it's nobody's name. They were showing us the astrology of the southern sky and the astrology of the northern sky. And they made a lot of interesting drawings of certain beasts and creatures. And don't look so familiar to us. So as we look at this picture, this is North America. It doesn't look so much like it. But look here, what is that? Polar Arcticus. Okay, so this is the polar circle up here, but how come they showing all these continents? And they writing us some stuff on there. I can't really read it. Don't forget about translating it. And so we don't know nowadays about this here. And like I showed you earlier on the big map, there's nothing up here. It's all water. And what is this here? Freeland. Okay, bear in mind this little island here. And look on Google Map. Did you find this island nowadays? This is St. Lawrence River here. It looks a bit different, but you can kind of recognize it. And as it go much further, it goes into rivers. Rivers extend a long way. Okay, you see how the river extends a long way? There's no Great Lakes here. Oddly, were there Great Lakes back then? Here is Lake Conibas. Lake Conibas. Yeah, it's written here. Conibas. Lake Conibas. Anybody know about Lake Conibas? Thanks to John Levy, now I know about Lake Conibas. It's not here anymore. And if we look at California on this map, it kind of goes out broad here, but it doesn't seem to be separated from the continent. So there's some information out there that kind of was transmitted over the telephone game, if anybody ever played the telephone game. Look at South America here. This is what we know, the actual shape of South America here. But what is this? It says Chile, or something, it might say Chile. Okay, but why is the shape like that? They were showing you all the temples back then that they discovered. Okay, mountain ranges, rivers. They're showing you all these details. So to show you these details, they had to know these details. They had to have people go out and observe those details, note them, and draw a map. So we have Antarctica here, and look how close that gap is between the south point of South America and Antarctica. It's very narrow. Does it still look that narrow on modern geography? So in Europe, you can see a lot of castles, temples, churches that were all displayed. And I'm sure there's a lot more than they were drawing on this map back then. It almost looks like smallpox, but it's all little castles. Because they wanted you to know back then where they are, how to find them. Okay? It's not like nowadays they're trying to hide those buildings. They're doing their best to destroy them, to burn them down, like the Notre Dame Cathedral. They burned it down. It didn't just appear as, oh, accidental fire, oh no. They took so many statues off of the cathedral days before they set it on fire. And then even cut off their heads off those statues. How demonic can that be? So there's some things that they don't want us to know about, of our ancient world. They make us believe in other things, like science. Oh, look at the science behind what we tell you. Believe in our science. But when you turn around and look at the evidence of what's left from the ancient world, it doesn't make any sense. Does it? All right, let's keep going here. So again, we see land up in the North Pole, up here. All right, remember that, land in the North Pole. And look at Africa, it doesn't seem to have as much lakes as we saw on other maps. Okay, it's hard to read this one. Gerard van from 1671. It's the James Gang. A little rough on the edges. It's California again, cut off from the continent, and you can see more clearly on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 islands clearly laid out here. Okay, so somebody had to go all the way around and see those islands with their own eyes and draw them on a map. And the guy was drawing on the map, he must have gotten spanked for not making the right drawings. Okay, South America looks kind of normal. You see, those people used to make interesting drawings around the maps. This is North America, the eastern half. This is around Louisiana, New Orleans. Does that look familiar to anybody nowadays? I think New Orleans is around here. Does that look familiar to anybody nowadays? This is up in Quebec. This is Labrador here. Terre des petits Esquimaux. The little Eskimos. How come Eskimos are there? The petits Eskimos, so they have to be small and short. Groenland, Détroit de David, terre des grands Eskimos, terre des petits Eskimos. So the Eskimos here were tall, and here they were short. That's odd. Anybody heard this part of history before? Look at all the islands here in the Hudson Bay. Do we see that today? The Great Lakes were all there. They look precise. There's another big lake here. I don't remember seeing that on any map. A lot of other big lakes. Big lakes. I know there's a lot of lakes across Ontario. I've driven through and I was surprised to see that many. But they weren't that big. This is an old picture of Quebec City. I don't see Chateau Frontenac in there. Was it built back then? Historians say it's much newer. But is it really? History was one topic I really hated back in school. It's like the most boring topic. You had to learn and remember all these names of people and dates and where they went to conquer and all that bullshit. And our history teacher was giving us more homeworks than all the other teachers combined, so I really, really hated history. But I still was forced to learn it. And even in college, I had to take other history classes, so I was forced to learn a lot. Does that look like Florida nowadays? Like a panhandle? Look at Bermuda, how big it is. Isn't that interesting or not? Les îles Lucailles. Never heard of that before. Map of the World by John Speed, 1626. So here's a British mapper, cartographer. Nice drawings. Southern Sky Astrology, Northern Sky Astrology, and some interesting drawings. We seem to have had a good time back then. No need for fashion. No need to waste all that money on jewelry and makeup. Again here, California, semi-cut off, unclearly cut off. You can still see precision with islands in there. No Great Lakes. That's in 1621, okay? In 1608, I think, was the year that they founded Montreal. If I remember well. Information that was beaten over my head when I was in school. Friedland. Remember Friedland? And here is unknown. Nobody knows what's around the North Pole on this map. And the British call it New Britain. After they pushed the French over, it used to be New France. They call it New Britain now, from now on. And that was what, in the 1600s, 1671? I guess they just defeated no, it was in the 1700s that the French got defeated. So how did the British claim it was New Britain back then in 1671? Here again is disconnection between history and what we see. Again here, very small gap between Antarctica and South America. Unknown. Nobody knows where it's down there. That's what the Treaty of Antarctica is the only treaty that's ever been respected throughout history. Because they don't want anybody to go there unless they're under their wing. Unless you understand. Unless you stand under them. It's going. Lots of islands here. Lots of extra islands. Here's another map. Date unknown. Map of Asia. Okay, Asia. Asia Minor. A lot of islands. Okay, bear in mind. Not trying to turn you on here, but look at that shape. Okay, remember that shape. Picture that shape. Okay, just to show you later on how different it was. From Mercatoris. Gerardi Mercatoris. Gerard Mercador. Okay, it's written by the Italians or Spanish. See a lot of red temples. It's not the smallpox. A lot of interesting details. Lots of rivers, lakes. There's Europe up there. Look at the boot of Sicilia here, how big it is. Might be able to see details I don't see are interesting. This is Tartaria. Tartaria. So look it up on the internet. What is Tartaria? What were the Tartarians doing? What kind of buildings are the Tartarian buildings? Some people call them Greco-Roman, some people call them Gothic, some people call them churches, some people call them state buildings, some people call them museums, or Carnegie libraries. How many Carnegie libraries did Carnegie build throughout his days? Thousands across several continents. How can a guy build all these huge buildings that no architecture these days would dare to draw and no construction company would dare to build? What do we have up here? The North Pole, the land in the North Pole. So look at this part of Asia here. So I'm not showing you with my camera. But does that look like Japan to you? Does that look like Japan? Sorry, I didn't show you. 1592 from Abraham Ortelius from Amsterdam. Map of Spain. L'Espagne. España. Again, maps with smallpox. Lots and lots and lots of castles, temples, churches. All very impressive. Like the Pyrenees. I drove through the Pyrenees when I was younger in 1999. Okay, if you know Spain, have a blast. Check it out. Down here is Gibraltar. My second wife, Victoria, spent a lot of summers there with her mom's family in Gibraltar. Gibraltar. It became a British colony. British control. Map of England and Wales by Christopher Saxon, 1579. In England, world capital of crop circles. You should look up crop circles. I don't guarantee that they are real because back in the early 1900s, Tesla was working on certain technologies like microwaves, and he was patenting flying saucers back then. Anybody knows about that? So look up crop circles, it's interesting. And bear in mind that it takes microwave energy to bend the stalk of those plants. And bear in mind that there is technology that most people totally ignore in this world nowadays, like DEWs and other forms of microwaves that hit us hard without us knowing. So Cornelis Dankets, 1700, made a map of the flat world in 1700. Was he the first one to make a flat earth map? No, he wasn't. So look at this flat earth. Australia is not complete. California is separated from the continent. They don't have any North Pole land on this map. Japan is fatter than now. There's a whole lot of big islands out there. And Hawaii is still unknown to the British and the Europeans. And they don't show any Antarctica circle ring around the world. We don't see Freyland here either. Remember when I was pointing out Freyland? Maybe you could compare that with modern maps, no Great Lakes. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. 3 guys make all these sounds. Pteros orbitus terrarum doesn't mean shit. 1587. 1587, I have another map from that year. I'm going to show you later on. So it looks like there is land up here in the North Pole back in 1587. Friedland was there. Of course, Greenland was there. Oops. Let's get this out of the way here. Shelaga. So, Nouvelle-France, Nova Francia. You could go all the way there without finding any Great Lakes. And a lot of islands, big islands out there. Big islands that, like Bermuda, La Bermuda. How come that was so big? It kind of looks further than where it is right now. Somehow they didn't want to show that part of California on this map. And look at the shape of South America here. It's kind of fatter on the Pacific side. And look at this big Rio de la Plata. Looks kind of odd. It's gonna narrow the, what's that thing called? The Strait of Magellan, maybe? I don't know. You see Terra Incognito below, Antarctica. is Antarctica. See how big the boot of the ball of Sicilia is. Tartaria. Tartarians that were creating a wonderful world full of harmonics, free energy that got destroyed somehow and wiped off the maps. Somehow. Who did it? It's a long story. Did I name any names? I shouldn't waste my breath too much on that. Terra del Fuego. How come there was fire, fuego down there? We went by some volcanoes or what? Here's another map. 1668. Sorry about that focus. I should just go look at the map and tell you. It's too far, it's down at the house. Anyway, we have beautiful drawings. These guys, buddies. Small people take care of them. No land in the Arctic. No land in the Arctic. California has an island. Lots of interesting details. Party on. Burning Man. So the birds are with them, peacocks and storks. Pardon me if I touch your knees, but you must remain social distant. Oops, sorry, end of my video here. My videos are only like 27 minutes on my camera, so I can't film anything longer in one straight shot. So we're back at the same map here. Interesting. Okay, look here. Looked like it got roughed up. They must have had a real intensive session. Somehow there are parts missing. And if you look at scrotum area, it looks a little bit more square, doesn't it? Doesn't look like a smooth, round, plump ball. A lot of islands down here. A lot of islands out there. Bermuda, far away, a lot of islands here. Lots and lots of islands, that's like California. That is not the same as today. You'll see Friedland up here, but somehow Greenland looks a bit different. There are some Great Lakes. Look at Greenland, it looks different, doesn't it? Look at all those islands here. What are those? That Friedland up here? I think it is. Freeland. Nothing free anymore. No more Friedland. This one is by map of the American continent. 1628. In 1628, the Americans are, the English are barely getting to America. They have a big part of Antarctica here, and they give you lots of details to read in Latin, maybe. Showing you a big picture of other islands that are on the map. Tropic of Capricorn. Let's see, equinox. Nouvelle Guinea. New Guinea. How big was New Guinea back then? California is connected to the continent according to these cartographers. What is that cancerous lump here? So they've had to send people up there. See, look how far the river goes. Look how far this river goes. They have had to have certain knowledge. They have had to refer to other mappers long before their time. The North Pole, with land, free land, Greenland weird, Quebec, northern tip of Quebec looks weird, and all these parts look weird. They're not the same as what we got today. That's the St. Lawrence River, Hochelaga, Shilaga. Hochelaga is parts of Montreal called like that. Hochelaga Maisonneuve. Shilaga, it's a bit like Chicago. Chicago is here, but no Great Lakes. Look at the mountain chains here. Some other parts of the map that they're giving us in bonus. Alright, so there's lots to see. Make your own research and share with people you know. It's really hard to share with common people any of this knowledge, believe me. You make yourself look a bit stupid sometimes by telling people such as the world is flat or it's not like we were told or blah blah blah. Because everybody wants to be looking normal. Nobody wants to be a sore thumb in society. It's going to be picked out by the authorities and locked up. So this map here is from Gérard Mercator, Gerardum Mercadorum, according to the Latin. Here's part of Scotland. Greenland, it's different, isn't it? And the North Pole, and look at Mount Meru, in the middle of North Pole. Apparently it's a magnetic mountain. And I see a few other islands. Freeland. Have anybody heard of Freeland before? Iceland, you know it is, but Iceland I think it's more round nowadays, isn't it? That's Upper Canada. This could be a representation of the Hudson Bay. But here we got Lake Connibas. So it's not so clear here. Lake Connibas. Anybody heard of Lake Connibas before? Thanks to John Levy, I know about Lake Connibas now. John Levy showed us this map in one of his videos. That's how I got to know it. And here we have Freeland. That is this one here. I have a bigger show of it. You can even see that on Freeland there were a few temples, a few red dots. Like on other maps, you see these little red dots. They represent temples or churches or whatever you want to think these things are. And you can see that they all have different shapes. Just to tell you how unique they are, specific. Lake Connibas, Lago de Connibas. And this way is towards California. Even it says California region. But we're way up in the North Pole here. California is way down there. Asia, lots of mountains and temples. Here's Fire in File. I don't know where that is. Does it look familiar to anyone? And that map, by the way, is from 1595, if I don't mistake. 1595. They knew all that stuff. Thanks to Gérard Mercadon. Gérard Mercator. This is Sweden and Norway and Finland area. I'm not quite sure how different can it be from today. Scotland down here. Okay, so this map here alone is a treasure to have. If you want to order that on over the internet, I suggest you do so. Okay, there's 3 big points here that are totally ignored by cartographers these days. One is the North Pole land masses with Mount Meru. The other one is Freeland, which is unexistent today. Lake Connibus. Okay, at least these 3 points show you how different this map was of what we know today. And I'm going to show you my favorite map that I have from Urbano Monte. It's from 1587. So if you notice, this is a whole world, a flat map of the world, flat world. And if we look around, we have Antarctica as a ring around the collar. Okay? Let's start looking at Antarctica. And in every corner of the map, there's a whole lot of details written. A whole lot of data that's written in Italian or Latin, not quite sure. But if we look in Antarctica, does it look like frozen land? If we have caveman and a bunch of other animals that we wouldn't see in the snow, in the ice. Was the world different back then? What is this creature here in the water? What are those guys doing there? Who's this guy here? Seems to be some celebrity. The Illuminatis of back in the days. And every little point here tells a little story. I don't know what they're talking about. They show you some positioning of the sun. Okay, look at some camels in Antarctica. That's even where the sun goes. I don't know if the solar, the polar circle. This is the Capricorn tropic here. But this must be the polar circle. What are these guys doing? Come on! Lions and tigers and bears and Antarctica. Chicken, alligators, look at the sea monsters. They had to face back when they were sailing. The Red Cross fleets. Red Cross tell you anything? Not necessarily blood donors, but blood takers. The Jesuits. The Rothschild means Red Cross. Siren. Lizards. Centaur. Sagittarius. More details about this guy. More details to read. You can read this language. More celebrities. Looks like a scorpion maybe. Antarctica. Lots of interesting dragons down here. Why are parts of the map blank like this? Why? Why, oh why? Another blank up here. Lots of water in Africa. Lots of rivers. Even up here and over the Sahara, seems to be lots of lakes and water. Apparently there are some underground oceans in the Sahara. I've seen a video on YouTube about that one day. This guy. Who are they? Red Cross. Who are they? Who is this guy? Ozzy Osbourne. And what is this waterway in South America? Seems to go like very broad here, lots of islands. It goes long way in. Same with this one here, seems to be going deep in. Okay, and barely any separation between Antarctica and South America. Nice phoenix bird or something. Another guy's here. Nice big birds. Weren't they nice? Take time to show us all these details back then. Nowadays, they don't show you much anymore. They don't want to show you too much. It's gonna mess up their plan. It's gonna break their control over you. Look at this big lake here. This is supposed to be the St. Lawrence River. One big lake here and one big lake here. But that's pretty much close to the North Pole and the North Pole landmass. Whoa, 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 whoa. Where did I go? Further. Sorry. So it's the North Pole here. Whoa, 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 too fast, too fast. And is that Greenland, Friedland, Iceland? It's really hard to say. This is Europe. This is England. These look like Norway and Sweden and Finland. That doesn't look so much like that, does it? And bear in mind that back in the days, there were a lot of sailors, and don't tell me that people didn't know how to draw back then or take measurements. So knowledge had to come from far away. It had to come from many different sources to be able to make such a big map of the world in 1587. California here somehow is connected to the continent. Okay? And it's got a wide, very wide mouth down here, the Gulf of California. Okay. And is that Lake Connibus? Not sure. Another big lake here, another lake here, but they're not the same spot as the Great Lakes today. And the north of Canada seems very different. In the other corner of the map shows you more mathematics, birds, more animals in Antarctica. Okay, look at this one here. See, this is California, and here we got, what is this here? Okay, this is Alaska over here, Russia. What is this big elephant-looking continent where we should be seeing Japan and a very skinny strip of island? Doesn't rush. Okay, so can anybody explain this to me? The crab here, I mean the Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer here. Another fleet of boats, kind of a whale. And look at all these islands down here, a whole lot of islands. That make any sense to anybody? Some kind of a big monkey. Here's Tartaria. And blanks, 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 blanks. Okay. Look at India. Doesn't that look a bit odd shape for India? Does it? And if you see here, you got smallpox all over the continent, which are buildings, temples, castles, churches. And what do we have here? Does that look like smooth balls to you? Does that part look the same as it did earlier? Think any guy would like to have such a shape of genitalia hanging from their pubis? Anybody would like to have a sack like that, teabagging in their face with some points? Just imagine. No, don't go too far, please. Keep your pants on, keep your clothes on. Just to show you how things were different back then. Different than what we were told. Different than what they like to show us. They like to force feed us. And make us look stupid if we say anything different. I never minded looking stupid when I was in school. I used to love being the clown of the class. I would sit at the front of the class and tell the teacher everything they were doing wrong, and they hated me. They hated me. But I was the class clown. I had a lot of fame. I'm telling jokes all the time. Crazy jokes, stupid jokes, funny jokes. I made a lot of people laugh. But now as an adult, I'm not as funny as I was. I'm even a little too serious sometimes. Especially when it comes to truth. Why were we lied to? Does anybody like to be lied to? Does anybody like to find out the truth that was different from when they were told? I don't. And a lot of people I tell these things, they basically don't care. They don't want to know. They don't want to be seen as a different than normal person. I'm sorry for all those people out there that they were trained, programmed to act like that by television programs and Walt Disney and big corporations. They're mentally brainwashed to think that you shouldn't be thinking outside the box. Otherwise, watch out. So here we go. That's what I want to show you of what I have in my home. That makes me a bit different from other YouTubers that pull stuff out of their internet, their computers, which doesn't make it bad. They're still good people. They still have very good intentions. I really appreciate flat earthers, even though I prove in my videos. Please watch my other videos as a curvature amateur of what's out there, what I've seen, what I've shot with my camera, my Nikon P900, to show you that there is curvature out there. So the world is not flat. But I don't give all the credits to the globers, globe believers, globe tards, or normal people, I should say, that believe we live on a globe, spinning in space, by the way. The thing is spinning in the vacuum of space. Okay, can you imagine that? A ball covered with water, spinning in a vacuum. Okay? And if we look at the stars every night, other than the planets, none progress, none move from night to night, from year to year. So there's something wrong with this picture. How come the stars haven't moved, but the solar system is shooting in space? Now it's traveling thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles per hour around the galaxy. But if you get a camera like mine, you look up at those stars, they don't look like galaxies like they show us from NASA or astronomers. There's a big gap between reality and the lies that we are being told. And drink the milk of paradise. One day we'll get to Xanadu, to Shambhala, to whatever heaven that was promised, the promised land. But it's only by ignoring what the politicians tell us, ignoring what the doctors prescribe you, ignoring historians, ignoring the world that was created around our thoughts. Because when we use our eyes, when we look out, when we use all of our senses, we gain. When we follow what's being told, what we should be listening to, then we lose. It's simple and clear, isn't it? Well, thank you for all your time. I didn't mean to waste so much of it, but please, get out there, make your own research, be an avant-garde researcher.